Remember my car that we did a big burnout in?
Yeah.
It's just like that. Different color.
I'm not trying to offend anyone, but is this a replica?
It's not a replica. It's not a real Duesenberg. They call this a Duesenberg 2. It was factory built. It wasn't a kit.
It was, but it was done later.
It was in the 80s.
Oh, okay. Because in the say, those speakers don't look like they were from whatever, Oh yeah, because it actually says 1983. It actually says it's a Honda.
Wait, it is?
Yeah, it's a Honda motorcycle. That's kind of different, isn't it? Do you think this car is pretty fast?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it looks cool, huh?
Yeah. But it's not very sweet.
It says it's a limousine. Yeah.
Harold didn't want to spend the money on a top, so he said just put the boot on it and don't put a top. Not thinking that it was going to rain when he took it out. And it did, and he was so mad because the interior got destroyed.
So there's an actual top on it now.
I don't know. It doesn't look like it.
It is.
That's like a little panda.
Fast, or do you think it's slow?
Slow.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, buds. It is a Mercury. You like this Mercury?
So weird.
Would you want to drive this?
No.
Why?
That's so weird. I haven't seen this.
Because it's a girl's shoe car, huh?
Yeah, this is so weird.
He was adopted by a family friend when he was 3. He went to Graham Kapowsin High School, and when he graduated, he was voted least likely to succeed by his classmates. He started a business called the Shipyard Buses, and basically it was a transit system. He got called up in the World War II. He was a CV in the South Pacific there until 1946. When he came home, he traded the shipyard buses for garbage trucks. Our first commercial account were the nuns here at the Marymount Academy. He also owned a towing business called Lucky Sales and Service, and in 1952 he did a tow job for a guy who had a wrecked 34 Packard. I couldn't pay Harold for the tow. Harold kept the car. His first collector car. But in 1952, a 34 Packard wasn't all that interesting. It was just an old beat-up car. About 10 years later, his friends started getting real interested in Model A's and Model T's. That was about the time that collector car hobby started to sort of pick up some steam because they were still around. There were still a lot of parts available. And they were kind of unique. They weren't like any other car on the road. They were old and still around, and some people got real interested with him. He started buying cars at a pretty steady rate, and by about 1978, he had about 200 cars. That was the year that William Harrah passed away. He and Bill Harrah had become friends through car collecting. When Harrah died suddenly, the Harrah's organization decided to sell off the Harrah's collection. That really upset Harold. So Harold decided to sort of pick up where Harrah left off. Started buying cars at a rate about 5 to 6 a week. By 1997, he had 3,500 cars. They were spread out all over the country. He'd go on a trip, buy 10 cars, find a place to stash them, drive home. When he passed away in 2000, his family and friends were sort of left to figure out where he'd stashed all these cars. They figured it out. They brought them all here to Pierce County. The collection sits at about 2,200 cars now. There's about 500 here. There's probably 300 over at their house in Parkland, and then the rest of them are all scattered in. The school here was founded in 1922 by a group of Dominican nuns. So if you were ever misbehaving and your mother said, I'm going to send you off to military school, she made good on it, you'd come to a place like this. Harold was adopted by a family friend when he was 3. His mother was a single woman, decided she couldn't care for him, wanted a better life, that kind of thing, so his family friend adopted him. When the day came for the handoff, they showed up in a 1914 Chevy Baby Grand. Well, he always remembered that, so when he started collecting cars, he was always looking around for a 40 Chevy Baby Grand. In 1976, he went to a trade show in Chicago where he bought this garbage truck, heard about the Chevy Baby Grand for sale in Wisconsin, drove up, bought the car, and drove it home in the back of the garbage truck.
That was my first.
Good job, Jen.
Thanks. That was my first restoration for Harold.
Did you do that at the restoration shop?
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah, I remember being in the garage. No.
This building's been set up to walk you through the history of the automobile from 1886 to the early 2000s. Now there's going to be a lot of history, there's going to be a lot of names, but there's also going to be some good Harold stories. What you would do with this, you'd put carbide crystals in the bottom and then fill the top with water, and it would drip down on the carbide crystals and create acetylene gas. Turn the system on, then you go with a match around and turn on all your headlights. Oh. How do you steer it? It's a tiller drive. That handle pops up and then you steer it like this. The other handle there that's your accelerator. And the way you charged the batteries was it had a generator. You couldn't just plug it in, charge the batteries. You actually had to sit there and generate your own electricity to charge the batteries.